All right, welcome in everyone to the Slim Flippers. I am Wes, and today I am joined by two special guests. Not one, but we've got two, and they are the Frizzy'S Finds. How are you folks doing this evening?
Hey, Wes, how's it going, man? Thanks for having us.
Doing great. I appreciate you all joining me. If you would, go ahead and introduce both of yourselves to the audience, if you
Yeah,
would.
absolutely. I'm Johnny.
And I'm Lizzie, aka Frizzy.
Lizzie Frizzy. Okay. So, quick question for you. Who come up with that name, Frizzy's Finds? Which one of
So,
you
Fr- so Frizzy is her nickname. So we
Yes.
went off the alliteration of Frizzy Finds, but when we started reselling, we actually tried to name something after our cat Wilson, and nothing was working. Nothing was working.
No.
We had very odd names. And then finally, I was like, "What if we just do Frizzy's Finds?" And she's like, "Okay," and that was it.
Works for me. All right, so my first question for you is why be resellers? Why do we do this resell life?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lizzie and I, we traveled a lot pre-pandemic, and we'd watch a lot of YouTube and traveling. And hey, we're going to a new city. Let's see, where to eat, tourist traps, all that kind of stuff. And the pandemic hit and put us in our homes, and then we started getting recommendations for Froggy Flip videos. And we were watching him go to garage sales and go to garage sales. And he's from Indianapolis, and Lizzie's from Indianapolis. So that kind of pulled us in. And then, the normal cast of characters on YouTube started coming up in recommendations. And we were like, let's do this. Let's go to Goodwill. Let's buy something. Let's sell it and see if we can do it. So we bought an NHL air hockey table. And keep in mind, we know nothing about shipping or anything like that. I've been on eBay since 2001, but mostly as an 18-year-old with a credit card and nothing good. And then so we listed it, it sold, we went to ship it, and I was like, oh, what's this gonna cost? Like $6 to ship. And of course it's 12, 13, something like that. So we took a loss on our first item that we ever sold, and that just motivated us to do it more. And then all of a sudden, like it took over one room, it took over two rooms, but it was working. We were making money, we had success early. And we used it as a side hustle, really.
Right.
And then Lizzie dropped down to part-time because of it, and then went full-time with it. So she's full-time, I'm part-time, and it beats the 9 to 5 that I do, I'll tell you that.
It definitely doesn't feel like working. It's just like having fun, doing what you love, shopping and selling things.
So Lizzie, what did you do before you became a full-time reseller?
I was a manager at a physician's office.
Okay. And you said that you were I'm sorry, you're full-time and your husband is part-time,
Yeah.
correct?
So,
Okay.
So I'm a part-time reseller technically, even though it's probably more hours than my actual job. And then she's full-time into reselling.
yeah.
Well, it gets full-time now. We need to discuss this. We're going to do this later in the video. When you go on vacation or you whatever, like Seattle, does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
I saw your video. So we go to these places, and I'm guilty of it too. You start checking your phone going, is there a bin store near me somewhere?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. We took my sister and her two daughters, my nieces, and they were like, hey, we want to go to some shopping center or something like that. And we were like, you know what? You guys go. And we went right to the bins.
Well, I will tell you one thing that reselling has done to me. I will not pay straight up prices for anything ever again. I mean, I can't do it. I told my wife, if you want to buy me something for my birthday, just go to the resale thing, buy me something, that way. But it's ruined me on ever paying, straight up prices again. So the next thing I want to jump into is which one of you actually, and you touched on this, but which one of you did you either one of you have a moment where you said this is what we need to be doing, one over the other?
I think we both were like really interested in it, and we both like work as a team together on it, because like what I don't like doing, he does, and then what he doesn't like doing, I do.
Right.
And so it works out perfectly. But I think we're both all in.
I think when we started, it was just like a hobby for us. We don't necessarily have hobbies.
Yeah.
And so it was a hobby for, vacation money, maybe pay the mortgage, some just extra side hustle. And then it took off pretty quick. We started January of last year. And by April, May, I mean, we were in full swing to the point where she was like, hey, I think I can do this full time and make what I'm making now. And hey, let's do it.
Well, when I found you all on YouTube, what interested me and piqued my interest the most was the fact that me and my wife both do what you're doing, but we're both still part timers. She's looking hopefully to going into like Lizzie is full time. I'm a school teacher, so I'm nowhere near it. I like what I do. Actually, I love what I do as far as a school teacher is concerned. But she kind of pulled me into the vortex, so to speak, and that's why I was interested in how you all did yours, because I kept noticing she'd come home and she'd lay a bag here in the living room, and I'm like, okay, so you're going, what are we doing here? And next day, here come another 2 bags. I'm like, do you realize you're buying toys? What are you doing? Because all of our kids are. I've got one son that's getting ready to graduate high school, and then all our other kids are grown. And so I was like, we passed that a long time ago. I remember selling all that stuff off, But she pulled me into the reselling business. So that's why I was kind of curious as to if one of you all pulled the other one in. But it's interesting to see you both come in together.
Yeah, we definitely came in together. I think she hit the throttle a little bit harder than I did, because she was the one that was coming home with bags and bags and bags of things, and it was like, whoa, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
So Johnny, you understand where I'm coming from? Like, what are we doing?
Absolutely,
Stuff
absolutely.
Can't get stuff out of my house, and of course now, you see all this stuff behind me. It's I do have a granddaughter. She's 4 years old, and Betty, she loves to come to our house and play.
Oh.
And she'll say to us, now, Papa, please don't sell this. I can't make any guarantees. It's listed. So
our nieces were in town from Indianapolis a couple months ago, and I had bought a box from Goodwill of just miscellaneous toys, right? So there's Barbies in there and just all sorts of stuff. And they just thought we were the coolest people ever, because we
They're
just
like, let's go shop in your store.
yeah. Well, and when you look at it, you're like, no, let's not play with that.
not that one. You can have this one.
I was at a Goodwill Bins in Chattanooga. It's been a couple months ago, and I got one of those Disney ice princess things, castles,
Yeah.
I had that thing listed by the time, when I got home, I had that thing up. Well, here comes my granddaughter. She breaks out big tears, and my wife's like, hey, we can't sell that right now. So I have to kind of hide what I purchase, I guess.
Yeah, we totally understand. And our sisters will just send us like, hey, just went through your store. Can I have that top?
Yeah, they're like, I want
have?"
this, I want this, I want that. I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
So, Johnny, how does this system work for you in being a part-timer? Because if it's me and what I do, even my wife, she's part-time, but she can get away better than I can being a school teacher. She can just up and go do things. Does it kind of irk you when she's out thrifting, so to speak, and you're like, man, I'd like to be with her right now?
Yeah.
I like this question.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of FOMO that comes up for sure. I'll be in a meeting or something, and all of a sudden, like, she's posting on her story like things she found, right? And so there's definitely a little FOMO there. But I work hybrid. I'm in healthcare recruiting, so I work hybrid. So I'll sneak out on my lunch break and pop into the stores or something like that. Or as soon as I get home and 5 o'clock hits, I'm like, hey, let's go. I think the tricky part for her is she'll be like, well, I was thrifting all day, I'm tired. And I'm like, oh, no. I just got home. It's my turn. We're going. So.
You're gonna find it. And that's what my wife does. Oh no, I've already been to Goodwill twice today. I don't care. We're going.
Yeah. I didn't tell you to go.
We got an ambulance near us, so I drag her out. I get home. I'm like, listen, I've been with kids all day. I'm going to go out there and do some thrifting. And the last couple weekends, she's not been wanting to do the yard sale. So I'm like, okay, not a problem. She goes, are you going? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going. And then you see her starting to go, all right, I'll go. Because I don't.
Yeah, that actually happened yesterday. I was like, hey, she started falling asleep on the couch. And I was like, are you going to take a nap? She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm going to run to the bins real quick. And she's like, oh, you got to get up. I'll get up.
Well, I'll do that. I'll do it. Okay, so I got to use my glasses here because I'm getting old, But I wrote these two things down for you. I got two scenarios I want to throw out there to you. Okay, one of them is you walk up to a yard sale and you notice an item that you really want to pick up, and what is your thought process if there are barriers in your way? And now those barriers could be like that little kid that's playing with that toy has got some value, or that person that's standing over there and you can't quite get around them. You don't want to be pushy. So how do you handle that situation?
Yeah, I mean, kids definitely win, right? Like we're not there's a lot of stuff out there, so definitely not going to steal from a kid. But it happens at garage sales. It happens at the bins. We'll see somebody with something in their hand, and just mentally, you're like, put it down, put it down, put it down. And the second that they do, you're like, oh, can I see that? And take it. So
and then they turn back around and go, they think, let's go on. Well, all spare and love and war at the bins, right?
This is true.
Yeah.
This is very true. Anything goes. No.
She's always fighting somebody. No, not really. But we're not aggressive, I think, by any means. There's plenty of stuff out there, but we definitely chirp in our head for people to put things down. But kids,
Johnny, that's the way I see it too. I mean, I would never take from a child, not ever. That's bad business. But you do run things through your head in the bin store. You're just like, oh, put that down, please put that down.
Yeah.
So Lizzie, have you had that same ringing in your head where you have that wanting somebody to put something down, or you just can't quite get to it?
Yeah, I mean, but I'm never the one. I would never like push somebody out of the way or like stuff. Or I'm not like that at all. I'm very shy and reserved. So I would just be like, please, 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 put it down, put it down. Or just maybe like scooch over. If it's an adult, like just scooch over and just like look.
When we were in the bins in Seattle, the shoe bins were just chaos. They were flying everywhere, and she just backed off.
I couldn't handle it.
I almost had to bully her out of the way because I was like, "We're gonna miss out on things. You gotta get in there."
Our bins are much nicer.
My wife does not like the bins. She gets in there and it just overwhelms her. We had actually come back. We went to spring break back in March, and I made a little. And I've talked about this in one of my other videos with President Prophet about going up through South Carolina.
Yeah.
Stopping in Harry Tornado's store that he goes in all the time.
Oh, nice.
So, you never know. You may run into him, but it was just kind of funny seeing it. You see it on the video all the time that he has. And we were in there for about an hour, and she came out and she goes, that's just rough. So,
it's definitely an acquired one. So. Yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste for sure.
Yeah.
It is. All right. So let me hit you with scenario number 2. All right. So you are at a bin store and you see other resellers that are there vying for the same stuff. And we kind of talked about this, but do you go into your bin stores when you're thrifting? Do you like pre-plan it or have a game plan when you go into these places?
No.
The racks, like the actual Goodwill stores we do, because you always head to the new clothing racks that are out. And I always check to see what people tried on and put back kind of on that try on rack.
But the bins, if there are new bins that have just come out, we obviously go to the new bins. But if you're just going around, like we look at the shoe bins and then the clothing bins, because our bin store doesn't have a lot of hard goods.
Okay.
At all.
But like our wife, my wife, and I'm sure your wife does this too. You all kind of break apart.
Yeah, absolutely, immediately.
Okay. because that's what we do. The stuff that she goes and looks at, I have no idea what she's looking at. I mean, she usually goes to the clothes straight away, and I'm trying to find toys and stuff like that.
Yeah, I unfortunately know more about women's clothing than any man probably should, but
What?
Now.
no,
That's not a bad.
originally.
That's not a bad thing, is it, Lizzie? So let's talk about videoing. When you go to these bin stores places, do you all video a whole lot? I noticed that you don't. Like if you look at Harry Tornado, while he's in the bin stores, he's actually talking to the camera.
Mhm.
Do you? I noticed y'all do a lot of you dub your voices over top of it. Is that what you do all the time? And do you video everything that you go out and source?
So for our bins, our bins has music, really loud music playing in the background. So that's why we have the voiceover, because I have to mute the background noise because it just has a lot of music that you can't play on YouTube. If it weren't for that, we would be able to use our voice at the bins. But I typically have my GoPro on most of the time because I usually stay at the bins only for maybe like an hour and a half, hour and a half. And then just edit out.
And anything that you see in our YouTube video of going through the bins is actually her. I don't know that I've ever worn the
He doesn't wear a
GoPro.
GoPro. I wear a
She
So
GoPro.
you don't have two GoPros going.
No, we
we
want two GoPros.
Well, I
we've
mean,
thought about it, but she sets it up. She'll put on a black shirt and her black jacket. So if anyone says anything, she can zip
It's
it
just
up.
sticking out a little bit.
well, that was my next question. Have you been questioned before by somebody?
No.
You haven't had those looks of the stares or why are you filming me or anything like that? You haven't experienced that yet?
No,
Not yet.
knock on wood.
And even in Seattle, the Seattle bins, I wore it the whole time and nobody said anything.
So you haven't had anybody get angry with you all filming or
No.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, yeah.
well, the Commonwealth Picker, he had a video he just put out the other day, and he was talking about some of this, I guess, hate emails that he's getting. People saying if you come in there and you try that in my store, you're going to be doing this, and you're not going to like it, and it's not very pleasant. So I'm kind of, me being a part timer, I'm kind of concerned about it turning into something that I don't want it to turn into. Because to me, like you said earlier, Johnny, it's to me it's just like a fun thing to do. I mean, I'm not going to get rich doing this.
Yeah.
But I just enjoyed them, and like you all, I met a lot of fine folks either through these meetings like this or just outsourcing, and I've had a great time with it. I don't know about how have you all seen that too? You just meet a lot of nice people.
Yeah, I mean, we've been able to meet quite a few resellers, and everyone's been great. But I do kind of getting back to your last point, I do think that's a benefit to doing the voiceover is we're not talking in the store. It doesn't really draw attention. So, when she's going through a rack or a bin or whatever, it's all very just kept to herself, and it's not kind of pronounced and out there. Yeah.
Well, I just feel like the very first time I did it, I had it up here on my shoulder. Well, I'm 6'6", okay. I'm already up here, and then I got like this parrot up here on my side of my shoulder, and I just feel like everybody's staring at me. So it's hard for me to do it. And then I got that strap across the chest, and you said you'd seen the video from the Bearded Vines, and he was talking about how he just it tightened him up, and he can't take it. But that thing that he showed me, it's got the magnet to it.
Yeah, the magnet. That was a strong magnet too.
Oh, it's majorly strong, and I've actually got one on the way, and I told him I was going to order one, and I did. But to me, that's a little bit more inconspicuous, incognito. I'm not really trying to draw attention to myself when I'm doing these things, but
I think
Drifter's a mile away.
Well, and I think that we've only done it really through the winter. I mean, now that weather's starting to warm up, it may be different because it'll be kind of harder to disguise.
Still at the
you have to be wearing a winter jacket in the middle of July.
Yeah, I'm just really cold right now. I'm sorry. Hey, yo, do y'all have winter jackets for sale? Don't look at me. Okay, so every job has trends to it, and reselling is obviously no exception. What do you think or believe the current state of reselling is from where you started, even just back, like you said, last January? Because I've been at it, like I said, a little over a year. Um, what have you all seen as far as the state of reselling is concerned?
I mean, in the 14 or 15 months that we've done it, it's changed, I mean, drastically. You know, last April, last May was some of our best months, period, and we had just started. And we're doing well now, but we're running sales, we're promoting on eBay, which we didn't do before. So it's changed a lot, obviously the economy as well, but it's changed a lot from that standpoint. We rode the Whatnot train for a while. We still do some shows, but not as much as we had before. And I think we really peaked, and our timing was really good with Whatnot, where it's kind of on the decline a little bit. So, you know, last month was promoted listings on eBay. This month we're running sales on Poshmark. So, I mean, we're adapting month to month. And I know there was the pandemic before that where I think the gold, you know, everyone was sitting at home, so everyone was buying everything. But even in the year that we've been doing, I mean, it's changing constantly.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned Whatnot because I was going to ask you about that. The Commonwealth Picker, I also noticed in that same video, he was talking about he's going to do a Whatnot here, I think on May the 4th. And he's stayed away from it. But he's starting to see some value in it. I find it interesting that you say it's kind of going away. And in what way would that be going away? Because you see other guys like NC Picker, American Arbitrage, all those guys, even Prison to Profit, they're all doing these Whatnot auctions. I've thinking about it, and that's about it. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, so I think even in the beginning when Harry Tornado first started doing Whatnots, want to say maybe last summer, end of last summer, Whatnot was kind of just on the rise, and his sales were like triple, quadruple the amount of what he's getting now per item. And that same thing happened when we were doing shows. So last summer when Whatnot was like really hyped up, like I was doing probably triple the amount of sales that I'm doing now on my Whatnot shows. I think part of the hype of Whatnot with clothing, I'm just talking about clothing, with clothing is kind of over. And then they're bringing a lot more buyers in. There's not enough sellers where
The
like,
other way.
or yeah, there's
in.
not enough sellers. There's just buyers. Sorry, there's just
Oh,
buyers.
I understand.
And what was I gonna say? Now I lost my train of thought.
But it just
I don't
really, it's changed a lot. I mean, we used to do a hat show every single Wednesday,
Yeah.
and we peaked. We were doing like $300, $350 a show for an hour selling used hats, like amazing. And then one week we did 85. You know, same kind of, you know, supply and, you know, the same. And we just looked at each other like, what is going on? And it slowly just started to drop down. And I think kind of the hype, the newness wore off a little bit, and it's more kind of plateaued, you know, where things have kind of settled down a little bit.
Yeah.
How many people though would you usually have in your auctions?
So I would say like in the summer and fall of last year, I would have like 30 to 40, and now it's like 15 to 20.
So is that mostly your followers that they either watch you on YouTube or know that you're an eBay reseller?
We started
No, we
Whatnot before, so we have most of our followers we have on Whatnot. That's our biggest. That's our platform with the most followers on it.
Yeah, we have
Whatnot.
we have almost 3,700 followers on Whatnot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Versus 1,000,
Yeah.
1,000 on IG, and you and our
12.
moms on YouTube.
Well, I've got, let's see, I checked today. I have 10 now on my YouTube channel here, the Slim Flippers. I've got 10 people.
Nice.
So hey, this time last week I didn't have anybody. So
Right.
That's good.
And so, but I mean, just Whatnot's changed a lot. It's funny that you brought up, Commonwealth's video last week talking about Whatnot, because
We
we were shaking our head. We were shaking our head watching it. And to Lizzie's point before, those big names, they're still doing well, but they're not doing as well as they were before.
to me, I think you have to have some clout to come in and be new, like Commonwealth Picker and all those guys. You got to bring people with you.
Yeah.
You
And
just
it's
can't
also
go there and throw up an auction,
Yeah, and it's also not, they kind of hype it as like just move your stuff, right? Move your stuff. And that's definitely what we did. We moved product, but you can't just move the stuff that nobody wants on eBay. Those buyers, that's not what they want. They still want the quality. They still want the good stuff.
Right. Well, there's a reason why that stuff's not moving on eBay.
Exactly.
That's the point where you go and you say, all right, tap, 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 we're going to have a yard sale.
Exactly.
Get rid of that stuff. That's how you move it, because it's just going to be sitting there taking up space in your house, in your living room. And then your wife, Johnny, is going to be talking about getting a storage building and things like that. As I'm getting those comments.
Yeah, we no longer can park in our garage, so.
At least it's combined to the garage.
Well, I'm in one storage building and my garage and a spare bedroom and my closet. Okay, so I've got some things, a little bit of stuff everywhere.
How many listings do you have on eBay?
Currently, I'm a little over 400 at the moment. My wife has a little over 700.
Oh, nice.
So where are you all with your listings?
About that, I think we have 1150 right now.
Okay, is your all's eBay? What is that store? Is it the same thing, Frizzy's Finds?
It's Frizzy'S Finds.
Okay, because me and my wife, we have two different ones. I'm Slim Picker 47, and she's Cinderella and her fella. So
oh, nice! I like it.
That's cute.
So I opened my account in 2001 when I turned 18, and we used that moved everything and changed everything to Frizzy'S Finds because I already had some feedback on there, and we kind of used what I had done over the years, so it didn't show a low feedback score.
Okay. And looking at some other things that I have for you all, I wrote down here, what are some items that each of you like to pick up to resell? If you're just, what's the niche versus the other niche? Because I know, like we talked about earlier, my wife has a niche of buying this and buying that, and I'm not, she picks up, funny enough, let me show you this. I'll talk about this off camera, but Andre the Giant, that is actually my wife's.
Oh.
And John Cena here and all these wrestler guys, those are all hers. Those are not mine. That's what she says. But I source things like this right here. This is a Commonwealth Picker hat.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So she, that's the kind of thing she picks up. So what would be an item, Johnny, that you would pick up versus Lizzie? What would be something that you all would pick up?
So I always go right to hats. I love hats. I've always loved them since I was little. So I'll always go to the hats, and then I'll walk through the hard goods just because Lizzie doesn't really know a lot about hard goods. So I'll go through the hard goods as well.
Yeah. He does hard goods. I do clothing, women's clothing, in particular, like dresses or anything designer.
And you try not to buy the fake stuff, right?
Right.
You gotta do the bin test and all this.
All of that.
What hat you got on tonight, Johnny? Let's see what you.
This is actually a little mountain man treasure there, Troy. Mountain man treasure.
Oh, do you have that one listed?
No, this is in the PC, as they would call it. That's the personal collection.
Personal collection, right? Well, that's where that one is now. I wore it last weekend. I bought it 2 weekends ago at a yard sale. And
yeah, that's so funny.
These people were like, I wanted to buy that. I'm like, that's mine for $1. And I wore it last week, and I had some people actually wanting to get it from me. So he's very well known. Now I have a phrase for you all that I'm going to give you here.
All right.
And I heard this on your all's video, so that's why I'm using it. what is your bread and butter?
Oh,
Oh,
People
bread
say
and
good
that
butter.
question.
all the time. I hear it, bread and butter, bread and butter,
Bread
bread
and
and butter.
butter.
I mean, yours has got to be Eileen, right?
Bread and butter brands for me are, yeah, Eileen Fisher. I mean, just things that are constantly selling. Lafayette 148. Things that we find all the time and sell constantly. Yeah.
Anthropology.
Anthropology, Free People. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll pick up a lot of like sports hats. You know, one of the things that I really appreciated about Whatnot and the buyers not just buying anything is it taught me what to pick up, right? Just because you like it doesn't necessarily mean somebody else will. So you've got to kind of find that balance of finding things that you enjoy selling and you want to sell, but that people want to buy too. So I would look at a hat and go, "Oh yeah, this is great." Put it on the show, nobody wants it, and I'm like, "What the heck? How did nobody want this?"
The great
And then
hat.
yeah, and then we, I'd have hats where I like just bought it as filler, and that's what people wanted. So I had to kind of learn like, hey, everyone likes hats. You can get hats, but don't get those ones. Get these ones. A lot of them are the sports hats, but not as much of just fitted or strap back, right? Like they like snapbacks. If it's fitted, it's the MLB hats and not just regular fitted hats. So Whatnot has taught me a lot about what to source, just in the sector that I enjoy sourcing.
So just off the top of my head, if you could go back to both of you, I'll go back to yourselves 15 months ago. What would be a piece of advice you would give to yourself?
Don't buy so much junk.
I mean, really, like, I appreciate we don't niche to. I mean, we do niche to a point, but not entirely. But become really good at something, right? We've been selling some stuff. I had mentioned earlier we're running a posh sale, and we have things selling where we're like, why did we ever pick this up? And so learning brands, brand awareness styles. Just because it's a good brand doesn't mean you should get it, and just because it's not a good brand you shouldn't get it. But we've got piles and piles that I think we're going to use as a write-off
I think
and donate back.
I think when you first start out too, like make sure to comp everything. Like just make sure it's a smart buy.
Right.
And we definitely would have started with stuff we already owned.
Yeah.
Yeah, we liked shopping more than we liked reselling, which is still probably part of it, right? We all do.
Well,
But
the
we
question
probably
is,
should
how
have
big is
started.
your death pile?
Oh gosh.
Oh. So we are trying to get organized. I don't know if you've watched Ginger Marvin videos, but they are like the quintessential organized resellers, and we are the absolute opposite. And we've been trying to organize everything that we have, and we've got bins and bins of stuff that had just been sitting there. I had 3 Super Mario video games just sitting on a shelf, and I was organizing my hard goods shelf, and I go, how the heck have these not sold yet? Super Mario moves pretty quickly.
Right.
So I searched it on.
Hey, Johnny, especially with the movie coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I gotta look and see what I have this priced for. So go to eBay Active, type in Super Mario, no listings. And I go, what the heck? And so I was like, I've got to do these right here, right now. All 3 of them have already sold within like 3 days. And it's like, no, just everything got lost in the shuffle.
Well, I've been working real hard, especially in the last 2 months. The power of walking away.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest thing, because I'm like, no, man, somebody will want that, and I'll pick it up. But I've had to learn to go, nope, just leave it, walk away from it. I guess it's looking for that better quality item.
Yeah.
Just buying this, that, and everything, because this, that, and everything fills up those things in your house really quickly. And I've got a death pile too, just like everybody does. But I'm not happy about it. It's very upsetting.
Have you set like new parameters for yourself? Like we do a lot of like, hey, we can buy this shirt for $5 because it will sell for 25, but like, do we need another $20 shirt? Like, do you have?
when I first started off, that's where I was. I was buying a shirt, buying a shirt, buying a shirt, buying a shirt, you know. And for me, I was buying any shirt and everything. If it was Star Wars and it was a small shirt, I bought it, you know. But I've come to find out that the smaller the clothes, they don't sell too well for me.
No.
So I wear extra large, double X clothing. Well, that works out. So I'm like, if I can wear it daily, I'm going to pick it up. You guessed it. Everything that I'm picking up, I'm selling it. Good. When we went to Universal Studios, I wore a shirt that was Scooby Doo, and on the back it said Scooby Doo, where are you? And I got a picture with him. The day we're there, and I had my store on. It's sold. So,
that's awesome.
oh boy.
She had that. We were gonna go when we were going to Seattle. She had a purse that was listed, but she wanted to really take it, and an offer came through. And normally she would accept it, but she's like, "Oh, but I was taking this to Seattle."
Well,
Decline.
Here's the thing. Here's the way I look at it. I want to test my products. You know what I mean? I want my consumers to really know that I believe in my products.
Exactly.
All right, just a few more for you if you
Yeah.
can stay with me a little bit longer.
Yeah, for sure.
This one, and we've talked about this earlier tonight. There's a stigma about resellers stealing from the poor when we go to these bins and we go to these thrift stores. What is your take on that way of thinking? Where are you on that? Because I promise you, it's kind of bothersome to me. I don't want somebody thinking I'm out trying to rob from somebody, because I'm not. You know, that's not the way I see it.
Yeah.
I think if you go to a bin store, it's exactly that. Like, you see all the waste. Like, you see all the waste that in the back where they work is just trash that they are just throwing away. So I think like when I think of that, I feel like I'm like saving the planet.
And that's honestly, that's the way I feel, because
Yeah.
we know after the bins, if it doesn't sell there, it's going to fill up Mother Earth, you know?
Yeah.
To me, if we can get that find and clean that find up and refurbish it and do whatever and get it back out, I think that's a great service. That's my take. But Johnny, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think going to the Goodwill bins has really kind of ended that for us, because we do look in the back and you just see pallets and pallets and pallets stacked to the ceiling. And you know that even as popular as reselling is now, 95, 96, 97% of that stuff is going to go unpurchased. There's so much stuff there. I mean, reselling, we go to Goodwill, even in the year that we've been doing it, and everybody and their mother has got their phone out on eBay and they're looking up comps and they're searching for stuff. And even with that, you can't slide a rack at Goodwill because it's so tight and so packed that there's so much stuff. And then you have the fast fashion on top of it. And it's just, no, there's too much stuff.
Well, on my Facebook page, my saying is, we're buying and reselling the already bought and sold.
Yeah.
I've never felt like I'm stealing from anybody.
But you've never heard a clothing brand say, we're not making as much new stuff as we used to because no one's buying it, right? Everybody is still making all the stuff that they used to on top of what they have for years. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Do you feel like it's more that way of thinking, like the stealing from the poor? Do you think that's more from the thrift store angle then, instead of the bins?
Yeah, I think we catch a lot of slack for, thrift stores increasing their prices. They say it's resellers, but what hasn't gone up? Everything's gone up. It's not just thrift stores where prices have gone up. Everything is. And Goodwill is a business. They're going to raise their prices.
Well, and they're there to make a buck too.
Absolutely.
I've had some people telling me that they're actually going through and pulling the higher priced items and sending them back, and they're selling them now on their own little websites, which
Yeah.
you know, it's all fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I know they get it for free, but technically it's their stuff, so they can do what they want with it. I think luckily for us, our prices are pretty reasonable here in North Carolina compared to when we were out in
Yeah.
Washington and what those prices were. And our Goodwill hasn't really caught on to maybe the better brands and things like that. So, they'll have Tommy Hilfiger priced up. Well, you can price that up all you want.
Right.
So there's plenty of good to be had. There's plenty of good for everybody.
So this is a two-part question. First part's for you, Lizzie. Where do you see either A, reselling in general, or your reselling business a year from now?
Well, I really want to focus on growth. So
Oh, look at
I
you.
know, right?
Nice.
Growth. Because I do want to, my goal is to become a 6-figure reseller by this year.
You got some work to do.
Yeah, it could be done. It could be done. It could be done.
Well, now Johnny's going, maybe I can get that job here.
Yeah, right.
So Johnny, the other part of the question is, where do you see it 5 years from now?
Oh man, you know what? We talked earlier about reselling changing a lot, in terms of, we'll have an up month on eBay or an up month on Posh and things like that. But I'm really kind of curious to see where the AI plays into it. They talk a lot about, all the AI stuff, and I don't know if you've played with the Chat GPT stuff, and
He's a teacher, so he probably
it's crazy. So I'm really curious to see how that impact. I think Gen Z, I think they're going to be more about recycle, reduce, reuse, and sustainability. So I think it'll only get bigger, but I think you still have to be smart. You still have to be on top of brands and trends and things like that, and that's no different than it's always been.
Right. Focusing more on, do you all go out and do a lot of yard selling?
Mm-hmm.
Just about every weekend you're out doing yard
selling.
Yeah,
and church sales and estate sales.
And it started up probably about a month ago here in North Carolina, where the garage sales has picked up. But it's weird. Our garage sales start off very slow. When we first started last year, we went to garage sales and we were like, these are terrible. How do people source at garage sales? And then we kind of stepped away from it for most of the summer. And then as summer started to wind down, we started going back and finding things. And we're like, wait a minute, garage sales are amazing. But then here we are again. We've been going the last couple of weeks and we're like, no, garage sales are terrible again. So I think as the weather warms up, they start to heat up. But we do enjoy going to garage sales.
So, and Lizzie, you had mentioned this just a second ago. Do you all go to a lot of estate sales?
Yeah, we typically, like we'll go to 1 or 2 every weekend. We try to figure out what the best ones are.
What's your take on the estate sales?
I
have my thoughts. I just want to know what yours is.
So they're really overpriced. They are very much overpriced, but if you can hit them on a Sunday afternoon when everything's 50% off, you can find some decent things.
We went to one this past weekend, and we went to 3 straight rooms. There was absolutely nothing in it. They sold everything out of it. Even the carpet was on the floor.
Wow.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit on who runs the estate sales too. Like you have some of those larger companies where everything's just priced up like crazy. And then you get these small mom and pops who are like, we just need to move this stuff out. And if you can get one of those ones, you can definitely find some steals and deals on that.
So if you had some advice for, like, I guess the reseller that's just starting out, how would you tell them to go about when they go to yard sales? Well, what would you tell them? What would be your one thing that you would make sure that they need to know when they go to these yard sales and what to look for?
it's funny, it's being prepared, right? And what I mean by that is we went to a garage sale and the wife had put out golf clubs and a whole set of Titleist. Were they? No, they were Callaways, and I ran comps on them real quick because I was like, "Ooh, these look good," and they were selling pre-owned on eBay for like 750. And she's like, I don't know, give me $50 for them. And I'm like, okay. I go to my wallet, I have 30. So she's like, no, I can't do 30. I got to do 50. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So we ran to the store to take out cash. We came back. The husband came back from the store and was like, what the heck are you doing? You can't sell my clubs. And so the deal was off, right?
Go, go, go.
But had he had
And had he had the cash right away, we would have been out the door with our best find to date. But it's be prepared, and honestly, you got to be able to just look at anything, right? And I think it's tricky because you feel weird comping in front of somebody, right? And you like those kind of things, but make bundles. We chat with people, whoever's running it, we'll chat with them and make bundles. That's really the best way to do it.
Well, when you were talking about that, I had last summer, I went to a yard sale and this guy had a ping golf bag and had the black-eyed ping clubs, the irons. He even had the one iron in there.
Ooh.
How much you think he wanted for it?
I mean, those are God. I mean, at a garage sale, still probably wanted $250.
$20.
Shut up.
Did you get him?
Oh, I got him. When he said 20, I said, "You do know what those are?" Because I mean, I was like, "Are you sure?" He said, "Listen, you're going to do me a favor." He goes, "I want those clubs gone." He goes, "I'm not playing anymore. I can't play anymore." And he said, "It hurts me to see them here."
Yeah.
He goes, "I know they're great clubs." He goes, "I know what I paid for them." He said, "I just like to get them away from me." And I said, "Okay."
Wow.
So I took them.
Because that's usually the hard part is the guys know what they're worth.
Right.
So, you go to a garage sale and you're like, yo, $20 for clubs. And they're like, no, these are $700 clubs. I want $350. And you're like, well, no one pays $350 at garage sales.
Well, and I wasn't even really, I didn't even think I'd be a player in it because I'm like, oh, those are going to be expensive. And I just looked, I said, "You're getting rid of your clubs, giving up your golf game?" He goes, "I am. And it's $20 if you'll take them." And I went, I mean, I wasn't even trying to buy the things. I was like, wow. But anyway, so I got two more little things for you.
Yeah.
So in thinking about this whole resale game, how would you, if you could walk it back, if you wanted to get out of it, would you? Or do you just see yourself, I'll use you, Johnny, for a second. Do you see yourself still staying in your job? Or are you going to try to become a full-time reseller?
Yeah, I would love to. That would just that would take a lot, for us to be able to walk away from that financial part of it. Just from the annual salary and the benefits and all of that. So that would be tough. I would love to, to be able to work for myself, and I get to see what she does, and I definitely want that. But we've got to have a house and stuff like that too.
I'm going to coin a new way of calling what I am. I'm not a part-time thrifter. I'm a recreational thrifter.
I like it. I like it.
That's what I am. I'm all about recreational.
Yeah, I mean, it is a ton of work, but to Lizzie's point earlier, it's fun. We enjoy it. I mean, we spend a lot of hours, either sourcing, shipping, listing. I mean, whatever it is, but you don't even think of it because you enjoy doing it. And we still, we lived in Florida for a number of years, and whenever you would see a dolphin pop up in the water, you'd get excited, right? Even after all those years, we still will get a sale pop through and we're like, what just sold? And it's probably a stronger reaction than it even was a year ago. So I don't see us leaving it.
I don't know about you all, but it's kind of made me even find a different kind of closeness with my wife. I like the challenge of trying to out thrift her, even though it's done in all good taste, but we both really do enjoy getting up on a Saturday morning, going to get us a donut, get some coffee, and start talking, because this is something we both find very enjoyable. The last thing I'm gonna hit you with: no extra suitcase on the trip to Seattle.
Okay. In our
Come
defense,
on, no
we
extra suitcase.
we did have an extra suitcase, but we just needed multiple extra suitcases.
So we took our son, my sister, and her 2 kids. So there was 6 of us. Her kids are girls, so we had 4 women on a trip. There was 9 suitcases for 6 people. So adding a 10th suitcase, I don't know, we would have had to have rented an RV just to get back home. But we are going to Denver in a couple weeks for the sole purpose of going to the bins in Denver.
It's a business trip.
It's a business trip.
Hey,
And there will be extra suitcases brought on that trip for sure.
Yes, we won't make the same mistake.
now I kind of laughed about that when I saw your video. I was like, how can you not have an extra suitcase? Of course, we don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes. Stuff. I just kind of laughed about it. But did you all fly to Seattle? Okay, so you flew. In my way of thinking, I would have been like, well, honey, I can rent a van. I'll drive it. We'll just shove everything in the van.
That'd be a long trip.
It was hard though, because we were doing so well, right?
Oh my God.
You're always finding things when you don't want to, right? Well, you want to, but you can't, right? And so we actually left because we were like, we can't find anything. We can't turn any more things. Like, we have got to just get out of here.
It was amazing.
It's like, where is this stuff back in North Carolina, right?
Right,
Exactly.
right. Well, so the prices at their Goodwills are so expensive. Like tops are like $25. So in my head, I was thinking they're so expensive at the Goodwills. I bet a lot of this stuff ends up at the bins. Well, it did, because their bins were insane, full of amazing things. Yeah.
Well, Lizzie and Johnny, that is all the time we have today on the Slim Flippers podcast. We really do appreciate you all stepping in and joining us tonight. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you all did.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
You all were great guests, and I really do appreciate you joining us. And I hope that your thrifting takes you where you want to go and get that 6-figure income if you're after.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wes. We appreciate you, man.
All right, y'all have a great evening. I appreciate you.
You too. We'll see you later.